As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized SEMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a SEMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Good evening, our professional colleagues. Good evening, friends of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Our students, we want to specially welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another edition of ICAN on Air. But before I start the program, let me congratulate the 58th president of our great institute on the success of the 70th induction ceremony of our great institute that was held today. That's adding to our numbers. We add that today, and I want to especially appreciate the chairman of the Membership Affairs Committee and the Induction Subcommittee. And to all the new inductees, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the Institute of Noble Profession that prides itself with integrity and accuracy. And I know you're going to contribute your own quota to the Institute. For today, we will be moving straight to the topic we have captured: finance of the future. Will the CFO role still exist? And it is my great pleasure to host again Mr. Lawrence Amadi, FCA, who is the partner technology advisory and head technology assurance with over 20 years of experience in IT audit and technology advisory service within the telecoms, finance, services, consumer market, power sector, among others, for KPMG, the Lagos office. He is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, a multiple recipient of ICAN Merit Award across all levels, member of the Institute of Internal Auditor, Lagos chapter, a certified information system auditor, CISA, and certified risk and information system control, series professional. He has served IT audit and advisory project across South Africa, to West Africa, to the East and Central Africa. He is an integral part of the KPMG African Telecom Group, focusing on growing KPMG footprint and capability in Africa. Sincerely speaking, it's going to be another exciting time for us on ICAN on Air. Today, Tuesday, the 29th day of the month of November. Like I do mention to you, make sure you bring your goods and services on ICAN on Air for a global visibility, so that you can know your goods and services across board. And I'll be going on a very short break to pay commercials. When I'll be coming back, I will come in with our guest for today so that we can do justice to the topic. Stay tuned, and I'll be right back. Welcome back, and it gives me great pleasure to be guesting on another episode of ICAN on Air. I'm sure this is the second time, Mr. Lawrence Amadi, FCA. Mr. Amadi, good evening, and welcome to ICAN on Air.
Good evening, Mr. Olusegun Okunade. Very nice to be here. Thank you for having me. Good evening to all our viewers.
Sincerely speaking, I had to guard my loins very well because I know I'm going to operate on a V10 engine with the topic finance of the future. Will the CFO role still be in existence? And let me start this way. Since the last time you visited us on ICAN on Air, and today a lot has happened and it's still happening in the operational set up to different organizations. Roles are changing day by day to suit the new ways of doing things. And finance being the major operational area of an organization is not spared of this global phenomenon. Our global viewers would like to know your view about the changing role in the major operational areas of business organization, and especially as it affects the office of the CFO. I mean, Chief Finance Officer.
Thank you so much, Chesson, for that question. And I think is a good way to start this. For starters, let me mention this, that most of today's CFOs, the ask of them has moved away from the traditional financial reporting ask or financial controlling ask. It is moving more towards strategy. It is moving more towards visioning for the company. It is moving more towards direction for the company. And that is what we are seeing today. So if you are just a chartered accountant, it is not enough to become a CFO. You have to now start saying to yourself, how do I bring the strategic layer to what I do? How do I bring the strategic lens to this organization? Because when you look at most organizations, the natural successors for the CEOs is always the CFOs. Why? They understand the numbers better. They understand the vision. They are members of, they are at least present on the board. And when you are sitting on the board meetings, you've got to come with a lot of insights and a lot of value add for the company. So that's why that ask for the CFO is changing dramatically by the day.
And that's a wonderful submission from Lawrence. Let me pick it. You just said it, a CFO, because we know the number, we have the vision, and the aspiration of taking over as CEO. We must add that layer of strategic and given direction. It takes me further to this to say, today we can conveniently say the finance represents money management and the process of acquiring needed funds. But this description or definition may may become incomplete with the evolution of finance of the future. Our viewers are said to learn from your word of experience. Please educate us. What is finance of the future, and what does it pertain to the future of the office of the CFO?
Thank you once again. I think I'll just say, when you hear the word finance of the future, what comes to mind ideally should be the traditional finance no longer succeeds. It doesn't hold so much anymore. We're essentially saying that the finance of the future will be one that is driven a lot by automation, will be one that is driven by analytics, will be one that is driven by the workforce of the future, will be one that is process-led. And that process-led is layered on robotics, process automation, will be one that is driven by ERPs that are based in the cloud, that help you drive processes a lot more in a nimble, agile, flexible manner. So when you hear finance of the future, it's going beyond the general ledger and the subledger. It is going into the realm of how we can link financial planning and analysis, how we can link budgeting, how we can link those into our sales and revenue projection, how we can link those into cost of goods management and capital optimization. And those things that you have to do them in a more optimal manner. You have to layer process leadership into doing all of these activities. And that is what the finance of the future and the CFO of the future needs to start thinking about to bring more value to their companies.
Knowing, based on what you just said, the finance of the future entails going into automation, analytics, it's going to be process-led, ERP in the cloud, that's cloud computing. I would now ask Mr. Amadi, is it that the finance of given this concept of finance of the future, what will it then entails to be a CFO of the future? And who qualifies to be called or tagged CFO of the future in terms of roles and expectations?
Excellent. So who qualifies? If you look at some of our banks today and some of our telcos today, you will find that they are recruiting people who are not traditional accountants. They are recruiting more people who are quintessential strategists. They are recruiting more people who are quintessential COO materials. They are recruiting people who are very vast in operations. And they're recruiting people who are digitally minded professionals. These are the guys that are becoming the CFOs today. And these are the guys that will take the jobs of the traditional accountants if those guys don't upskill themselves. And we are finding that some of these guys are also becoming they are very data-centric, data-savvy people. Those are the people that we are seeing increasingly as CFOs today.
Data-centric and data-savvy. Let me tell our viewers that are globally connected, Mr. Lawrence Amadi is here with us, and he's telling us that there is a future, a finance of the future, and what the role of the CFO should be. That is talking into the future. You have the room to send in your questions wherever you are, from the north, from the south, east, west, and those from diaspora, to bring in your question and let Mr. Lawrence Amadi do justice to the topic of today. While I await your question, I proceed by saying the importance of the role played by the CFO in an organization cannot be overemphasized. You said it at the beginning. We know the number. We're very visionary. So we have to say how recent developments suggest some form of threat to both the role and the holder of the role, who is usually chartered accountant, like you and I. Let's just hit the nail on the head. On this important subject of today, will the CFO role still exist in this immediate future, staring us at the face?
Very good question. The role will exist in the short to medium term. Yes. It will exist as what we know it, but it will start getting some other momentum built on it. For instance, an innovator in an organization, chief innovation officers or chief transformation officers are increasingly going to be the people that are going to be so close to this role going forward. And, back to the question, will this role exist? I think it's sitting on a ticking time bomb, if you ask me, Sheson, because that role, with the sort of diversity around it, like I mentioned earlier, it just simply means that if you are not an innovator by nature and you are not a data scientist by nature, you're going to have to answer some very tricky questions about running this office going forward. So that role is going to change. I don't know if you and I have seen or heard about what you call chief responsibility officer. Most times they ascribe it to the COO. But today, some organizations, because of the way the CFO is, they are calling the CFO the chief responsibility officer or the chief accountability officer. That is what you're going to become because of the nature of integrated reporting and also the nature of how the organization is changing with regulation, coming towards it thick and fast. That's how I'll sum that up.
That's actually it. You've mentioned, and sincerely, I've read through where we now have Chief Transformation Officer, CTO, where we have Chief Innovation Officer, CIO, Chief Responsibility Officer, CRO. And I asked myself, do you still have CFO in this company? And they said, well, some of those people take preeminence because of the strategy they put in place. I still await the question of our member because the topic of discourse of today is about you and I, and we just need to make do of the time that we have Lawrence very much present here with us to do justice and enlighten us on some of the things that we need to do. Lawrence, let me proceed by saying it's been said, and we've heard it, you said it even in your intro, that with finance of the future, CFO will turn disruption into opportunities. Can you please give an insight into this allusion?
Thank you so much, Sheson. I think to
start off, I will want you to be deep, Lawrence. I want you to be deep.
Okay, thank you. I will start off by saying in 2019, we actually have an annual survey at KPMG where we survey CEOs and CFOs. Pre the pandemic, we surveyed, as usual, about the Fortune 500 CEOs and CFOs. So we have a CEO annual outlook that we publish, and we also have the CFO annual outlook that we publish. 69% of Fortune 500 in their responses pre-COVID did say that digital transformation was a high priority for them. 69% of those. Post the pandemic in 2021, about 75% of those said that their digital transformation was accelerated by the COVID or by the pandemic. In other words, all they were planning to do over a 3 to 5 year window, they accelerated it so quickly and so rapidly. And this is coming from Fortune 500 companies. Another survey we conducted, we asked them how they have prioritized empowering their workforce, especially the workforce within finance. And about 63% of those said their finance workforce will be digitally savvy people who tune into the digital transformation agenda. In other words, those that are going to dominate the finance function are going to be less of accountants and more of the guys who are able to piece data together seamlessly, who are connected to the cloud, who are innovators in themselves, who are very versed with SAP for HANA, Oracle ERP, Microsoft Workday, just to mention a few systems. These are the guys that these guys are looking for to drive the finance function. So bringing it back home, we can say that the average CFO in Nigeria today, what's their biggest worry or concern? They would worry about regulation. They would worry about revenue optimization. They would worry about cost efficiency, and they would worry about maybe supply chain and how it affects, the bottom line for their companies. But if you ask the CFO's worry starts looking more into how do I have the right skills to support this function? And because the skills conversation is so crucial, it's making us answer the question, are we then ready to drive that finance of the future to the direction that we want it to go? Are we able to leverage on the right skills to optimize revenue, to drive cost efficiency, to also drive the people agenda to where we want to take it to? That's the question CFOs locally are asking us. And that is why they have to be strategists. That is why they have to be guys that are being able to, they can work hand in hand with the CEO to take the strategy of the company to where we want it to be and drive and propel growth.
That is a submission that is powerful. And I'm sure you have used the response to attend to Fadola's curiosity, who is saying that in job hunting process will biodiversity nature of CFO's role give preference to non-financially inclined professional edge over the financially inclined professional. I'm sure that's part of what you just explained now, that people are looking for those that are tech savvy, people that are data scientists and the likes. And I'm sure that I've done justice to that. As we progress, Lawrence, it's been chorus already that the next finance transformation will start with the CFO. Assuming the current stars are right, please educate us. What should be the future CFO mandate? What should be our mandate?
Okay, very, very good question, Sheson. What should be that mandate? So the mandate should anchor on three key things. One of them is to ensure that the finance function transcends the organization in a lot more seamless manner, like a cohesive manner that pulls everything together. So that finance function has to transcend the organization in a very cohesive manner. And by that transcend, there's a common terminology today that we use in the marketplace called EPM. EPM stands for Enterprise Performance Management. We all know that as you think about the organization, all the KPIs in every organization lands in finance. Every KPI, be it supply chain, marketing, sales, technology, everything dovetails into finance. So that's why finance has to transcend, in a seamless manner across board. That is mandate one. Mandate two, they have to dominate with data. We cannot overemphasize this enough, because as we talk about data domination, it simply means as you look at interest income and all the volume of transactions that give rise to it, as you look at network operations, as you look at infrastructure, as you look at sales workforce, all those things have data embedded in them. If you don't mine that data carefully, you'll miss the mandate. So the second mandate has to be one that focuses on data dominance. The third area has to be the next gen workforce. The finance function has to be, the CFO has to drive an agenda that says, I need the next gen to walk in the finance footsteps with me. I need a next gen that starts looking into how the operating model can make sense, how we can digitally drive things and it makes sense, how we can also harness the finance skills and it makes sense. So this is why you've got to pull these things together. And those are the three core mandates. The EPM, transcending the data, the finance role in a very cohesive manner, dominating with data, and ensuring that the next gen is a very savvy one that is relevant for the organization in the next 5 to 15 years coming.
On spot. And I can say that again. I want to give a different perspective to it, looking at the future of finance. And Mr. Denry just took it off my mouth because I was in the program just last week, and this issue of blockchain technology came, and it almost dazzled me. It was from there I heard that for those that are operating this traditional accounting, we were taught double entry principle. By land for the future, for the next level CFO, we'll be talking of the triple entry accounting. I want to ask Lawrence, how important is the emergence of blockchain technology in the transformation of the office of the CFO?
Really good question, and thank you, Mr. Derrida, for throwing that in. First of all, let me try and demystify what we mean by blockchain. So for our viewers who are listening in, the blockchain technology is also known as distributed ledger services or distributed ledger technology, which simply just talks to a technology that allows you enforce contractual obligations seamlessly without any third party. In other words, you basically say, I have a ring or a chain of transactions, and I want you to buy into that transaction. If you say, yes, I want to buy into this transaction, without any third party or intermediation, we can close that transaction seamlessly without me defaulting on what I'm trying to make available, without you defaulting on the payment for those. Now you're making that payment through a wallet, and I'm making this service available through a digital platform. Now we contract virtually. I issue you a certificate that sells that service. I don't need a third party to intermediate, but essentially we're buying and selling or trading contractually or digitally without any intermediation. This is what the digital platform will do. The closest example to digital ledger services is cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies leverage blockchain. If I want to buy Bitcoin, I create a wallet and I go sign up to buy Bitcoin, either from Ethereum or from any of the coin providers, Coinbase, whatever platform. In doing that transaction, I simply go to request for the price of catalog, and I say I want 10 blockchain, 10 Bitcoin. 10 Bitcoin may cost me $10,000. I simply say debit my e-wallet that I've made available, credit me with 10 Bitcoin certificates. Certificate is issued to me, my wallet is debited. No intermediary, transaction done. There's an exchange that manages those transactions. But the point we're making is blockchain is a technology that eliminates any form of agent, any form of broker, any form of intermediator for that transaction. Now, let's bring this back home. As we think about blockchain and the finance function, it simply means that if we start leveraging this technology into financial reporting, into processes of finance, into the sales activities that dovetail into finance, it simply means that I don't need any intermediator to execute those transactions for me. It also means that in such organizations, the CFOs have to also understand the way this technology works. What is behind the engine that power the blockchain? How does that tie into our consolidation of the books? How does that tie into our reporting? How does that tie into how stakeholders consume our financial reporting? Those conversations are being had now in the advanced economies, and it's coming home sooner than we know it. We can see all these players in the country, Chiji Exchange, Patricia.com, all the guys that are trading, Bitcoin locally, and they can help you trade gift card and the likes. All of these guys are also going to have CFOs who understand these transactions, who can account for these transactions, who can report these transactions, make sense of them, and ensure that they are clued up. And if these guys don't do these transactions well, it means the people that will take over as CFO are the people that understand this blockchain technology better. That's the point I'm making. So we all have to stay close to these technologies and make sense of them and connect to them.
We need to get connected, get closer to the technology, because that is the next level of operation with blockchain technology. You need to understand the process and be part of it. Let me take it out of the scope of accounting and come to our nation, Nigeria. I want to say, Mr. Amadi, there's this school of thought that feels that Nigeria is particularly poor when it comes to financial, forecasting and planning. Based on your knowledge of finance, how right or wrong is this sentiment?
Well, if I want to answer you first, I would say when you look at the JAPA statistics in Nigeria, you can see that we are contributing so much to Canada, to UK, even Australia and the rest of Europe. They're coming for our talents. And not just our technology talents, they're coming for our finance talents as well. If you look at the number of Nigerian chartered accountants who are also making inroads, just globally. And I mean, recently, ICAN was in India with an event that they were showcasing some of our tools, talents, syllabus, skills. It means that we are connected at the global level. And people are seeing that our accountants, our chartered accountants, are competing at the highest level. And that's why they can also go and win, seamlessly. So our financial planning and analysis and our budgeting teams and the likes, we are also competing toe-to-toe with all the guys at the international level. That is why we can contribute talent, to these guys internationally. We may be leveraging leading practice software because we may say, well, we are not the ones that have written SAP and we're not the ones that have written Oracle. If you go to SAP and go to Oracle today, you will see a huge number of Nigerians making a lot of impact in the modules that they are building, be it in the materials management module, in the FI module, which is for financial reporting. A lot of Nigerians are in there building specialist skills and helping them to modify those modules, helping them to drive customizations in those modules, helping them to drive, deep analytics in those modules. So Nigerians and Nigerian accountants, also with Nigerian IT people, are driving a lot of, change and innovation in these tools. And we know firsthand because we work with these guys.
You can say that again. The Japa syndrome is taking a lot of our talent. And let me quickly attend to Fagbola Temitope, regular viewer of this show, all the way from Ibadan. He's asking, what critical role does negotiation skill and conflict management plays in the life of the modern CFO?
Thank you very much, Mr. Fagbola. Very good question. Today, I don't think there's any executive role that would survive without very good conflict management and very good negotiation skills. And the CFO is not exempt from this skill set. You would agree with me that when you start your careers, it's all about functional and it's all about technical. Are you qualified? Can you bring the right skills to the table? Can you talk about all the relevant accounting entries? Can you, but as you go higher in your career and you become an executive, you have to then have the skill to start solving more problems And in problem solving, you're going to see a lot of issues in the organization. You're going to have to see the chief marketing officer butting heads with the chief operation officer or the chief commercial officer. They will fight. You as a CFO, you are the guy that the buck rests on your table. If you don't resolve those issues that they are having, you will miss your reporting deadline. You will miss the innovative things that you want to drive in finance. And you've got to just realize that you need skill sets that is very high on soft skills, very high on functional, because your technical skills are taken for granted that they're there. But you now have to build on it and say, look, how do I solve the problems? How do I bring emotional intelligence to help propel my organization forward? How do I ensure that the desired positive results that we're looking for is what we want to drive to? So again, Mr. Fabola, that question is so apt. You need those skills to ensure that you can drive cohesion and drive the oneness you need to succeed as an organization.
For the future CFO, you must equip yourself on the things that are embedded in conflict management. Have the soft skill, the emotional intelligence to play the role, because you are the money man, and every other chiefs have to bow for the main chief, who is the CFO. On that note, I sincerely want to appreciate all our viewers who are connected globally. I've been guesting Mr. Lawrence Amadi, FCA, on the finance of the future, where the CFO role still exists. And we've been doing justice to it, and I believe each and every one of us is speaking their own. Let me quickly go on a very short commercial. Like I keep telling you, the best place to place your goods and services is on ICAN on Air. You guarantee of promoting your goods every Tuesday, every Thursday, not only to the people in Lagos, but those in Kaduna, in Gombe, in Maiduguri, in Makurdi, Benin, Ibadan, name it, across the nation. They will definitely have understanding of your goods and services. And on that note, let me quickly pay some commercials. I'll be right back with Mr. Lawrence Amadi as we do justice to the topic of today. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized SEMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a SEMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We still have with us in the studio today a friend of the house who always do justice anytime he comes, Mr. Lawrence Amadi, FCA, and we've been doing justice to the topic of discuss, which is finance of the future. Will CFO still role still be in existence? As we proceed, we've spoken about strategy, innovation, creativity. Look at all these together. There's definitely going to be challenges. Please, what are the likely challenges that may confront the finance of the future as the CFO of the future?
Number one challenge will be skill. Skill and talent gap will be really crucial. And bridging that gap is something that the CFO or the finance of the future will struggle with. That's one, and we can't overemphasize it enough. The number two area I think would also affect and impact the finance of the future, is being able to adopt, agile methodology and agile technology in a seamless way, the way they want to adopt it. Again, that will be another challenge that they have to grapple with. Because if you're unable to innovate or move at the pace at which you want to actually move, it can hamper some of the progress that you want to make. So that's one of the challenges that you'd face. Number three would be the ability to adapt, again, that skill and the function in line with how businesses are changing. Because when we started this show, I did say that the business model and the processes, the landscape within businesses, they're all changing at a very rapid rate. And because it's changing at a rapid rate, the finance function and the finance of the future has to also adapt and change equally with it. And if it fails to catch up or catch on, then it can face that challenge. I give an example. Today's telecoms companies are saying that they no longer want to be telcos, they want to be tech cos. If they are moving very quickly to tech co, it means the finance function has to also adapt very quickly to FinCo or Finance Co in a way that it can keep pace and adapt itself. Somebody says V12 engine. Certainly you've got to just have, not V6, but a V12 engine to keep that same pace. And I think, Shason, this is you in the chat saying V12 engine, basically. So you need to turbocharge that finance function to keep pace with the way they operate the business model, and the business landscape is also changing.
We have to just let them know that you can no longer operate. Those days we used Peugeot 504, which does not have, we graduated to V6, and you'll be feeling like the big boy. If you must be the future CFO that actually want to understand, then you should be all operating on a V12 engine, that the turbo would definitely be double. I'm going to come back to your question, Badmus. It's one of the questions that I would definitely recognize. While we proceed, in line of the saying that man is a political animal, how will finance of the future and the CFO of the future improves the profitability of the organization, reduce corporate failures, and encourage positive boardroom politics?
So first of all, yes, I certainly would agree with you that man by nature is a political animal, and the CFOs are meant to be political monsters, when it comes to also just interaction and also driving cohesion at the workplace. It's important to highlight that the CFOs are so crucial in the room when you have any board composition. The CFOs help to bring that stewardship to the board and to shareholders when you have those interactions with, the owners of the company. So it's important that they are also clued up, they are up to date, and they are able to bring valuable insights when that fora comes together. So we cannot separate having the CFOs come together to try and help bring this sort of cohesion when the boardroom is required to gather, or when the AGM holds, or when you're just talking about ensuring that we don't have any corporate failures. This is why it's important that as you talk about profitability, and as you talk about also reducing any form of corporate failures, the CFOs are so crucial. This is why the Sarbanes-Oxley Act will hold anybody charged with the governance for reporting, the governance for financial reporting. If you have been charged with that responsibility, you can go to jail if you don't do the right thing around financial reporting. This is why the CFOs are so crucial, because they are the ones that have to ensure that things like segregation of duties on your system, the journals, the journal processes and the likes, those things you upskill and you have the leading practice processes running those areas for the organization. Otherwise, everything that we stand for is going to crumble.
Let me take this question, Mr. Madi, with the insight that you have given about the modern and the future CFO. Should we expect to see a kind of metamorphosis in the title or designation of today's CFO? If yes, what is the likelihood area of designation that will be seen for the future CFO?
Sheson, you're trying to make me become a soothsayer by asking this question. What sort of title will it be? When I started and I made reference to Chief Responsibility Officer and I said Chief Accountability Officer, I was making it up and I was saying, today we're hearing a lot more this sort of terminologies. Maybe in future, the CFO may be called a Chief Transformation Officer, or a Chief Innovation Officer, or a Chief Digital Officer. One of these three might become something that they become in future. I honestly don't know. But what I know for a fact is that it is this sort of new skills that will drive what it becomes. Because they might become a Chief Strategy Officer, and they're the ones that are responsible for everything that happens along the lines of just financial planning and analysis, financial forecasting, financial projections, financial reporting, and you bring everything under a Chief Strategist Officer. They might be the guys that are the future. To be honest, I don't know. But I can tell you for a fact that whatever it is, it may not have finance in the name. It may just have something else that is a lot more innovative. That's how I'm going to respond to that.
And you have opened our eyes to all the chiefs that we can talk about: the Chief Transformation Officer, the Chief Digital Officer, the Chief Strategic Officer, the Chief Innovative Officer. Maybe we'll make one of it to be Chief V12 Engine Officer. That's what they lie to, so that we know that is the next level for the finance person. Let me quickly pick Shuai Badmus question, and he's asking, what would be your advice for ICAN in producing CFO of the future?
So I think the advice to ICAN, and I know they must have started some things in these lines, is to keep improving the curriculum, keep improving the multidisciplinary case study courses, keep improving the course, keep improving the district membership events and the ICAN knowledge membership events, to keep bringing newer insights to people, to keep bringing those accelerator events to people, and to keep showcasing, thought leading events to people. I think if you permit me, I want to just say that tomorrow we're going to have the KPMG Africa Digital Summit event. And this digital summit, is not meant for just the CIOs and the heads of technology. It's meant for everybody in the C-suite in the organization. That event is going to be, it's one of our flagship events. It just brings technology demystified to everybody. Those sort of events, I know ICAN, sees them, and they also, project them. Those events, ICAN can also just broadcast those events and say, look, we need all the guys who are talking finance to key into this sort of events, connect to it digitally, learn a thing or two, and see how they can project and propel the organizations, even further.
And that's a good advice to our institute. As we gradually wind up, I think I have, is a contribution that I'm being flagged. I want to ask this question, and Lawrence, likely I'll be putting you on spot, because it has to do with our nation, Nigeria, and I'm sure we are in it together. At least for now, you are not japaning anywhere. We stay here together, and we make things to move. There are 3 stages of financial life cycle: wealth accumulation, wealth preservation, and wealth distribution. Based on the 3 stages, why is Nigeria economy struggling? When Where and how did Nigeria miss the bull eye? Just give your frank, response to this question.
All right. Thank you for the question. I typically try not to touch or come on the lane for political people because we expect the guys in politics to do the needful and to help us also take the country forward. If I were to respond to that, I would say it's in our being able to invest for the future. This is when we may have missed it. Investing for the future. And I think it's just bringing wealth to invest for the future is where we've missed the plot. And I give an example. Singapore, Malaysia. These are countries that 40, 50 years ago, we know where they were. And we know the sort of sacrifices they had to make to get to where they want to go. These countries said to themselves, how does Nigeria, how do we come to Nigeria and take the palm oil and take the palm kernel, take it back home and see what we can make from it? These countries are mentioned, Malaysia and Singapore. They don't have crude oil. They never had crude. They don't have coal. They don't have bitumen. They don't have all the things that we have as natural resources. But they took these resources back. They invested in it. They built resources around it. They were disciplined in nurturing it. And today, they're exporting these things alongside technology, by the way, to be able to also just earn foreign exchange. Today, you and I know what you can do with palm oil. Palm oil plays a role in virtually every single thing, both in food production, food preservation, storage, just name it. Where is our palm oil production and where's Malaysia's? We can't compete. And that is how you start saying, how have we utilized these things that we have as natural resources to leapfrog and to earn FX? Today, Sheson, the central bank have come out to tell us that all that oil revenue and all the storage that we're getting from oil, it has gone from $3 billion to zero today. From $3 billion to zero. What does that tell us? It tells us that we were relying on the wrong thing. If we knew that electric cars would take over the future, we would have been diversifying and divesting for the future appropriately and saying, if EVs are going to come, maybe we should focus on building battery plants. Maybe this is where Tesla should have come to build battery plants as against going to Taiwan. Maybe this is what we should have been focusing on and trying to say, how do we create that enabling environment so that these businesses can come here, create jobs, help us build for the future. We have we create multiple Elon Musk in Nigeria. And we also make, FX for ourselves. That's where we create the future. Instead of putting wealth in the wrong places, we put wealth in investment for the future.
Sincerely speaking, we can't shy away from politics, even though we should not delve into it too much. But we can always advise our politician, and that you have done. That if our founding fathers have invested into the future, we won't be where we are. But we can still do it from now by making sure that we try our best to invest into the future of the upcoming generation, so that there can be a reference point for you and I that we contributed our own quota to make this nation called Nigeria great. It's been a wonderful time. But before I go, this question just sneaked in. And let me just give an insight into his asking, will be right to say the CFO is a compliance officer of an entity? He's asking that will you say that the CFO is a compliance officer of the entity? I mean the new and the future CFO.
Thank you, Hakeem Tairu, for your question. Will it be right to say that the CFO is a compliance officer of an entity?
Of an entity, yeah.
To a large extent, yes. He's the compliance officer of an entity and more. Compliance officer because even though you have a chief risk officer and you have the chief auditor executive and you have those other lines of defense, and remember, you have multiple lines of defense in every organization. The CFO is the guy that ensures that you are financially compliant. And if you fail in financial compliance, the organization is not going to exist. So it is extremely crucial that financial compliance is taken, extremely seriously. I mean, take for example a bank. If you fail to report when you should, you are joking with your license. So the CFO becomes so crucial. The CFO at that point becomes the responsibility officer for filing with central bank. The same way, if you're telecoms and you can't file with NCC in a timely manner, you are putting the organization at risk. You have to ensure that financially you are disciplined to make sure that you are not found wanting. Same for SEC, same for Financial Reporting Council, just name it. The CFO is so crucial to ensuring that compliance, we don't joke with it.
And that is a nice way to bring the show to a go. But before you go, you've advised the Institute. But in my usual tradition, I close the session by you giving us, just in 1 minute, your word for the member of the Institute itself, as we contribute our quota to the economic growth of our nation called Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Sheson. I think I'll start off by saying to all my professional colleagues present, listening, we should continue to build and improve on our skills and on ourselves. We cannot stop. You cannot rest on our oars. One, is good to be a chartered accountant, but it is more important to be a very knowledge relevant and knowledge up-to-date chartered accountant. Because when you get chartered is one step, but you have to then constantly refresh that knowledge, constantly improve on yourself. Very key. Two, as we do this, we must also ensure that we encourage the talents coming right behind us. Give back to the society, give back to the talent pool, see that we nurture skills and talents to keep improving themselves. They have to constantly, continue to follow us, follow the footsteps, and be better chartered accountants. And three, we must continue to ensure that we act with integrity. If we find ourselves in the office of accountability, public office, treasury positions, responsibility positions in our organizations, we must act with integrity so that we can continue to uphold the Institute to the highest pedestal. Thank you.
And on that note, is the best way to bring the program to a close. Guide yourself with integrity, knowing fully well the slogan of our institute, accuracy and integrity. It's been a great pleasure guesting Mr. Lawrence Amadi, FCA, on ICAN on Air for this evening, Tuesday, 29th day of the month of November. And I want to believe that the new inductees have heard from the parting shot of Mr. Amadi that you should learn even from the older generation, and the older generation should give back even to the younger ones so that we can build a stronger institute. On that note, we have come to the end of ICAN on Air for today, Tuesday. Once again, I congratulate all our newly inductees who are now and can attach to their name ACA. And we want to encourage you to give your best to your institute at the local level, district level, and the institute level, so that together we can make ICAN great. On that note, we'll connect again on Thursday when we'll be entering into a new month. I remain your host, Olusegun Okunade, FCA. Bye for now.